we've been to Trump rallies. You and I have been to a
Right.
couple together.
Right.
You know, we know the kind of security that we have to go through in order to even, sit down in the same room with Mr. Trump,
Absolutely.
President Trump. And so I actually went to the rally November 2nd in Grand Rapids at night. You know, we waited 6.5
Yes.
hours to get in there,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
Because of the security measures. So how does it happen that, in a farm field in Pennsylvania, in line of sight, there are buildings,
Right.
that a 20-year-old sniper ends up on the top of that building? I don't know.
And is allowed to remain there.
And police see him.
Yes.
Yeah. And people point him out, and there are sniper teams in the building below. And we've got the B team on Mr. Trump because Vice President Kamala Harris, and Jill Biden, the First Lady, happened to be in Pennsylvania as well. Or I think they were, it's like his A team, Secret Service team is rotated off.
Well, and even more than that, we have the DEI team.
Yeah. Yes, the 5-foot-tall woman. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a whole other story as well.
Right.
Who tries to tackle the 6'4" man, in order to protect him. So yeah, there is a lot, but I feel like we've been moving towards this. It's my belief, and there's a lot of research that goes into it. And you can call me a conspiracy theorist. I'm okay with it. That our institutions have actually taken over our country. And even going as far back as seeing Robert F. Kennedy down at Hillsdale, who admitted that he had the most FOIA'd documents from the CIA and the FBI, he thinks, in the world, regarding his dad's murder and his uncle's murder. And he believes, and he's stated it public, that he thinks that was an internal job. And so when I say our institutions in an internal job, I'm talking about our Department of Defense, our Department of State, and our intelligence agencies. And I think that, they've largely gone unchecked. They
Right.
wait out administrations.
Right.
And so as they wait them out, the last time I think we looked at our intelligence agencies was a Church Commission, and that was back in the 1970s. And we discovered that they were rogue and kind of out of control, and we did nothing about it because the next election cycle occurred. So your House changes and your Senate changes, and of course your executive changes as well.
Yes. So there's been a lot of talk about about our bureaucracy actually being an extra branch of government, and it's so true. But they're completely unaccountable, unelected. Nobody ever gets fired from government.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think we've witnessed that too.
On the local level.
On the
yes.
local level. I was so surprised by the number of landmines we were discovering when we came into office,
Right.
that they were preparing for us. And you know what? They're preparing for a county commissioner, but they weren't preparing for the 30,000 people that each of us represent approximately.
Right.
They were pushing back against the will of the people. So getting back to the institution comment, the institutions are in control.
Right.
It's the same thing. The will of the people has not been known, has not been represented. And I think 2020, Rush Limbaugh used to say they always take it a step too far. And I think 2020 was a step too far. And so we coalesced, election integrity, parental rights, unlike the Tea Party. And I think we became a force. We became a force for the people. And none of us that we serve with want to stay as permanent politicians.
Right.
But we do want our government to speak for us and represent us.
Right.
And it's going to be a battle back because there's a lot of power associated with these political positions. Perceived power, but it's a responsibility. It's not power.
And I think that at its core is why people don't like Trump. And by people, I mean the bureaucracy, the power players. They don't like Trump because Trump is in his essence of the people. Mm-hmm. And so he comes in and, he's 100% for the people, for the common man,
Mm-hmm.
So he's looking for policies that benefit families and workers, and those are the kinds of policies that power players and lobbyists want implemented.
Yeah.
And, and so he really leveled the playing field for the people, and the people recognized it. And I think that's why people, really stepped up to look into election integrity because they were like, we love this guy, you
Right,
know?
right.
Why-
I mean, I stood 6.5 hours out in the cold in November to see him, and there were like 40 to 50,000 people that did the same thing
Right.
in Michigan. Yeah.
Right. Yep. And you know, we're beginning to see what happens when the left uses their power against parents. You know, when you all you have to do really is watch California and see how, you know, step by step their parental rights, you know, have been stripped away, and the indoctrination of the children. And so, you know, we are beginning to recognize we have to be really careful who we choose to represent us. And
Absolutely.
so, you know, the bureaucracy and the left know that as well, and they do not want Trump.
No, oh no, he can't be leveraged.
Right.
And you know, it's like I try to lead in that model. I think you do too. You know, I will not be leveraged. You know,
Right.
I will express the will of the people and do the hard work too. Take on issues like water, as we were talking about, because it's the work that needs to be done.
Right.
You know, but success comes from that perseverance. You know, and you're able to have an outcome, a service-related outcome that's not lining our pockets, or you know, it's like the pockets. I want it to line all the pockets of my constituents. I want to make sure that, you know, it's like they have affordable resources, that they have an education, you know, that they can be proud of. Did you know that the #1 line item in our state budget is education? #1. And I think our math scores are at the 42nd level, or 42nd in the nation, and our reading scores are 37th. That's not an outcome that we should be proud of. And we're
No.
making a tremendous investment in education.
Right.
Yeah.
Which has turned into a tremendous investment in indoctrination. So it's very interesting that you know, it's the highest line item, but yet so many families are stepping away from wanting their children involved in it at all.
Right. Homeschooling in Ottawa County went up by, I think it was almost 100%.
Wow.
After COVID. Yeah. And how many people did you speak to who decided to give up an income
So
and
many.
stay at home with their children?
So many.
Yeah,
And
because the
private
curriculum
schools.
was so outrageous. Yeah. And 7-year-olds don't learn on a computer, let's be honest.
Right,
You know,
right.
A Zoom meeting on a computer.
Right.
Heck, I have a hard time participating in a Zoom meeting, let alone a 7-year-old.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right.